It's Dr. T. Today we're answering the question, are we still living in a meritocracy? First, let's define what that means. Shorthand, the cream rises to the top. People who have brains, hard work, put in the time and effort, they get the good things. They get the good jobs. They get into the good colleges. They get the high incomes. They get it because of their merit, because they deserve it. So, are we still living in a meritocracy? The short answer is no. And actually, we never have. It's one of the biggest myths of American life that we are a meritocracy. We believe in this myth very strongly because it's part of our American idea of individualism and being in charge of our own destiny. We are in control of what happens to us. And so if we work hard, good things will happen to us. The wealthy in this country have long pushed this idea because it justifies their superior position. They got there because they earned it. They deserve it. And that means if you don't get there, if you fail, it's your fault. So this is really a pushback against some of the things we've talked about in other episodes, like the social structure, the way society is built has an impact on whether you're able to succeed or not. But if we make it all about you and your personal effort, we don't look at the structure and we don't ask for anything to be changed. So people who are already in power get to continue benefiting. And to be fair, this idea that we are in a meritocracy endures because we can point to those what we call rags to riches stories. One of the most recent ones is Jeff Bezos, who started Amazon out of a garage. Oh, if he can do it, then I can do it. And so he deserves it. And if I get it, I deserve it too. It's all this nice, neat package that we like to keep all rolled together. And we also want to believe that not only can it happen for us and to us, but we just want to believe that life is fair, that we do have a shot, because otherwise we might despair and give up trying altogether. But it's important to remember that our country was founded on inequality. It is not just built into America, it is written into our formal documents. So Black people were enslaved for centuries before and after we became the United States of America. Only free, white, land-owning men over the age of 21 could vote in the original Constitution. Women were the property of their fathers and then their husbands for millennia. And as recently as a few decades ago, women could not get credit in their own names. They would have to get their husband's permission to do that. And women could be legally raped by their husbands. It wasn't until the 90s that the last state passed a law that gave women protection within marriage. Prior to that, a woman being married, it was assumed she was consenting to sexual relations with her husband under any circumstances at any time. The law prevented her from charging him with rape. There's a lot of talk these days about DEI initiatives and what that's doing to our country. DEI stands for diversity, equity, and inclusion, trying to bring more people, particularly people from groups that have been excluded in the past, like we just talked about women and men of color, and making sure that they have fair access to jobs, to opportunities in education, to government contracts, to starting a business, those kinds of things. If we're going to be opposed to DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, it means that we are championing uniformity or conformity, everybody has to be the same, inequity, unfairness, and exclusion, keeping some people out. And I want to thank Mayor Pete Buttigieg, former Secretary of Transportation under Biden, for that frame, because essentially anti-DEI means we want unfairness to continue to be baked into how we do things. DEI and affirmative action, again, a lot of myths about these things. They're really just about trying to live up to the promise of meritocracy, trying to make sure everybody has a chance. It's not about quotas. You have to have a certain percentage of certain kinds of people with certain identities. It's not about giving things to people who aren't qualified. It says if you've got an opening in your school or if you've got a job position and you post certain qualifications that people have to meet, educational requirements, years of experience, particular skills, that once you get people who meet those qualifications, you can look at whether they're a man or a woman. You can look at whether they're part of a racial ethnic group that's historically been discriminated against, and say, okay, we want more diversity in this social space, so we're going to invite this person in. Essentially, it's just about ensuring that women and men of color actually get a fair shot, which is, of course, meritocracy. That's what meritocracy is, that you rise based on your talent, not based on your membership in a group that happens to be stigmatized, marginalized, have less social power. That's not what meritocracy is all about. And it's interesting to note that in this current administration, there is not a commitment to meritocracy. There's a commitment to wiping out DEI and all mention of Jackie Robinson or the first female astronaut, Sally Ride, on our government websites. But we have not brought in the best people qualified to do things like run our Department of Defense.